used to believe love could survive anything. We're building something real, I told myself every morning while tying my shoes. One day this will all make sense. Ethan would laugh and say, "You worry too much," and I'd answer, "Someone has to." We met when we had nothing, and that felt like proof we'd last. We shared cheap dinners, broken furniture, and dreams bigger than our bank accounts. "When we make it," he'd whisper at night, "we'll laugh about this." I always smiled and said, "As long as we're together." My days were simple and full. "Text me when you get home," Ethan would say. "I will," I promised every time. On weekends we planned futures that sounded solid. "A small house," I said. "A quiet life," he replied. Lena would tease us, saying, "You two sound married already." I'd laugh and answer, "That's the goal." She was my best friend, my balance. "If he ever hurts you," she warned once, "I'll fight him." I believed her. I believed everyone. Ethan was my safe place. "I trust you," I told him without thinking. He kissed my forehead and said, "Always." I never questioned late nights or sudden silences. "Work's just crazy," he explained. "I know," I replied, even when my chest felt tight. Love made me brave enough to ignore fear. "You're overthinking," I told myself. He chose you. At night we lay together, sharing quiet promises. "No matter what happens," he said softly, "we don't give up." I answered, "Never." I meant it with everything in me. The future felt close enough to touch. I didn't see the cracks forming under my feet. I only felt warm, held, and certain that love was enough. I kept telling myself this was what happiness looked like. "We're lucky," I said once. Ethan smiled and replied, "Don't jinx it." We talked about time like it was endless. 5 years from now," he joked, "you'll still steal my hoodies." I laughed. "And you'll still complain." Even our fights felt safe. "I hate when you shut down," I said. "I'm trying," he answered. We always ended with apologies. "Come here," he'd say. "Okay," I'd sigh. I believed effort meant forever. I believed staying meant winning. I didn't know love could be patient and still leave. I trusted Ethan more than I trusted myself. "If something's wrong, tell me," I said once. He answered, "You'll know." That felt like a promise. Lena would watch us closely. "You okay?" she asked me. "I'm happy," I said quickly. She nodded, but her eyes lingered. I ignored that. I ignored the moments when Ethan looked distant. "Just tired," he said. "I understand," I replied. I always understood. Love felt like choosing someone every day. I chose him in small ways, in silence, in waiting. I told myself, this is what commitment is. I didn't know how much I was giving. I only knew I was willing. I felt safe, rooted, and sure this life was mine. Back then I thought certainty meant safety. "We're solid," I told Lena. She smiled softly and said, "I hope so." I laughed it off. I didn't hear the warning. I only heard love, steady and convincing. It felt like home, and I stopped looking for exits because I trusted him completely. I knew something was wrong the moment Ethan said, "Can we talk?" His voice sounded careful, like he was walking on glass, and my stomach dropped before he even sat down. "I got an opportunity," he said, not looking at me. "What kind?" I asked, already afraid of the answer. "Abroad," he replied. "It's big. It could change everything." My chest tightened and I tried to smile. "That's amazing," I said. He sighed. "That's why this is hard." I waited, my hands shaking. "Hard how?" "I can't do this anymore," he said quietly. "I need to focus on my dreams." The words hit me slowly. "So I don't fit in them?" He looked up then. "It's not like that." "It feels exactly like that," I said. "We were building something." Marcus cleared his throat from the doorway. "Sometimes you have to choose success." I stared at him. "Do you hear yourself?" Ethan rubbed his face. "Marcus is right. This is my chance." I laughed weakly. "And I'm what?" "Practice." "No," he said fast. "You're important. Just not right now." I swallowed hard. "I would have waited." "I didn't ask you to," he replied. That hurt more than yelling ever could. "So this is it?" He nodded. "I think it's best." I stood there trying to breathe. "I hope your dreams love you back." He flinched. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, I said. And you're still leaving. He grabbed his bag. Take care of yourself. I always do, I whispered. He paused, then walked out. The door clicked shut, and the silence felt heavier than any fight. I stayed where I was, staring at nothing, finally understanding that love doesn't always choose loyalty. My phone buzzed and Lena's name lit the screen. Did he tell you? Yes, I typed. He chose himself. She called immediately. I'm coming over. Don't, I said out loud, though she couldn't hear me. I sat on the couch and replayed every promise. We said forever. His voice echoed in my head. Dreams don't wait. I hugged my knees. Neither did I. Outside, footsteps faded, taking him further from the life we planned. I realized then that loving someone doesn't mean they'll stay. I opened my mouth as if he might still be listening. I would have followed you. The room gave me nothing back. I stood up, wiping my face. This is where I stand now. Lena texted again. You don't deserve this. I know, I answered. But it still hurts. I walked to the window and watched the street. Goodbye, I said softly. Not to him, but to the version of me who believed love was enough. My reflection stared back, eyes red but awake. You'll survive, I told her. She didn't answer, but she didn't disappear either. I breathed in slowly. This hurts, but I'm still here. Somewhere across the world, his dream was already moving without me. I pressed my hand to my chest. So this is loss. The answer came in silence, heavy and final. I picked up my phone once more, then set it down. No more begging. The night stretched ahead, empty and unforgiving. I whispered into the quiet. Love chose his dreams, not me. And standing there alone, I finally understood what that cost. I straightened my shoulders and faced the dark. This is the end. Not of me, just of us, and that truth settled painfully deep. Inside me, something quietly broke. The apartment felt too quiet after he left. It's just one night, I whispered, but the walls didn't answer. I checked my phone and said, maybe he's busy, even though I knew he wasn't. I replayed his voice in my head. I need to focus on my dreams. I asked the empty room. Was I that easy to leave? My chest hurt when I breathed, so I tried not to. I sat on the floor and muttered, don't cry, then cried anyway. Every corner reminded me of him. You promised, I said out loud. Silence answered again. Lena called and said, I'm worried about you. I replied, I'm fine, and hated how weak it sounded. You don't sound fine, she said. I just need space, I snapped. She went quiet. I'm here when you're ready, she said softly. I hung up and stared at the screen. Why am I pushing everyone away? I asked myself. I opened our old messages and reread. I'll always choose you. My fingers shook. Liar, I whispered, then deleted nothing. I waited for a text that never came. Night after night I lay awake. If I had said something different, I wondered, would he have stayed? I practiced conversations with him in my head. I understand, I'd say. Come back, I'd beg. None of it mattered. My phone stayed dark. I felt stupid for hoping. He's gone, I told myself, but my heart refused to listen. I checked the door whenever footsteps passed. It's not him, I sighed again and again. One morning Mrs. Carter knocked and asked, Are you eating? I shrugged. Food doesn't taste like anything, I said. She smiled gently. Pain steals flavor, she replied. It also lies. I frowned. About what? She answered. About your worth. I looked away. Everyone leaves, I said. She shook her head. Some people just don't know how to stay. She didn't push advice. She just sat with me. Silence hurts more than shouting, I admitted. She nodded like she understood too well. After she left, I opened my laptop. Just checking, I told myself. I searched his name. My heart raced. Why am I doing this? I scrolled anyway. Then I froze. A photo loaded slowly, painfully. Ethan was smiling. Beside him stood a woman I didn't recognize. The caption read, New beginnings. My stomach dropped. That was fast, I whispered. My hands trembled as reality settled in. Heartbreak wasn't loud. It was quiet, sharp, and unforgiving. I stared at the screen and said, I knew it. My voice sounded calm, which scared me more than screaming. The woman beside Ethan was Ava. "Of course it's you," I whispered. I remembered saying once, "She's impressive," and Ethan replying, "Yeah, she's smart." My hand shook as I scrolled. "She knew about me," I said. The comments proved it. "Safe travels, love," someone wrote. Love. I laughed bitterly and asked the room. "So I was the secret?" My chest burned. "You didn't leave alone," I said to no one. "You planned this." I called Lena and said, "Tell me the truth." She hesitated. "What truth?" "About Ava," I snapped. "About him." She sighed. "Can you come over?" I grabbed my jacket and replied, "I'm already on my way." When I arrived, I asked, "How long did you know?" She avoided my eyes. "I heard things," she admitted. "What things?" I demanded. "That he was talking to her," she said quietly. "Before he left?" I asked. She nodded. I didn't think it mattered. I laughed sharply. "It mattered to me." I paced and said, "You watched me fall apart." She cried. "I didn't want to hurt you." "You did," I replied. "You chose silence." She said, "I thought he'd tell you." I shook my head. "You let me trust lies." My voice broke. Was I a joke? She reached for me. "Please." I stepped back. "Don't touch me." The room felt smaller. "Everyone knew but me," I said. "How stupid do I look?" She whispered, "You're not stupid." "Then why do I feel disposable?" I asked. I left before she could answer. On the street, I said aloud, "I don't recognize my life." Every relationship felt cracked. "If love looks like this," I muttered, "what's the point?" I replayed every smile, every reassurance. Were any of them real? I asked myself. My phone buzzed with Lena's message. "I'm sorry." I typed. "So am I." I deleted it and kept walking. Betrayal shouldn't feel this lonely, I said. But it did. The people I trusted most were the ones who broke me. I realized then that betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from familiar faces smiling while they let you bleed. I sat on my bed and said, "Who am I supposed to trust now?" The question echoed. I opened old messages and muttered, "You both said you loved me." I imagined asking Ethan, "Was she worth it?" and hearing nothing back. I imagined asking Lena, "Was my pain convenient?" and hating the answer. "I defended you," I said aloud. I made excuses. My throat tightened. "I feel foolish," I admitted. The ceiling stared back. I whispered, "Maybe I was too easy to replace." Then I argued with myself. "No," I said firmly. "I was loyal." That word hurt. "Loyalty shouldn't feel like a weakness," I said. Tears came anyway. I grabbed my phone and typed, "Explain everything." I didn't send it. "I'm tired of chasing honesty," I said. I set the phone down and pressed my palms together. "This hurts more than losing him," I confessed. "Losing you hurts worse." I breathed through the ache and said, "I'm alone now." The truth settled slowly. "They chose comfort over courage," I said. "And I'm paying for it." I wiped my face and stood up. "I won't beg for clarity," I told myself. "I see enough." The room stayed quiet. "This is what betrayal costs," I whispered. "It takes everyone with it." I looked at the door and said, "No one is coming to save me." I answered myself, "Then I will." That promise felt small, shaky, and necessary tonight. I sat breathing until the pain dulled slightly at last now. I woke up late and said, "I don't care," even though I did. At work, Daniel asked, "Are you with us today?" I snapped, "I'm here, aren't I?" He frowned. "This isn't like you." I shrugged. "People change." He leaned closer. "You miss deadlines." I laughed. "So fire me." The room went quiet. Daniel said, "What's going on?" I answered, "Nothing you'd understand." He paused. "Sit down." I refused. "I quit," I said, shaking. He replied, "You don't mean that." "Watch me," I said, then ran out. On the bus, I whispered, "Great job," and stared at my hands. My phone buzzed. Daniel texted, "Come back tomorrow. We'll talk." I scoffed. "About what?" I typed nothing. At home, I kicked off my shoes and said, "This isn't me." I checked the mirror. Who are you? I asked my reflection. It didn't answer. I slid down the wall and said, I'm tired. The words sounded weak. I cried until my head hurt. I'm falling apart, I admitted. Silence agreed. A knock came. Mrs. Carter asked, May I sit? I nodded. She said, You look lost. I replied, I am. She smiled gently. Pain makes noise, she said. You just heard rock bottom. I laughed bitterly. So this is it? She shook her head. Endings are quieter. I asked, Then what is this? She answered, A turning point. I looked away. I don't feel strong. She said, You don't need strength. Just motion. I whispered, I don't know how. She squeezed my hand. Neither did I. After she left, I lay on the floor and said, I can't keep doing this. I thought about quitting everything. Running won't save you, I told myself. I remembered Daniel's face. You're not like this, he said earlier. I covered my eyes. Maybe I don't want to be. The thought scared me. I breathed slowly. Staying here hurts more, I said. I sat up and wiped my face. I don't know what choosing myself looks like, I admitted. My voice steadied. But I know this isn't living. I stood and whispered, I choose me. I paced the room and said, Everything is falling. I picked up my phone. Mom would worry, I muttered, then set it down. I argued with myself. You're being dramatic. I answered back. You're hurting. I opened my laptop and stared. I can't focus, I admitted. Memories crowded in. Stop, I said out loud. I pressed my palms together. Breathe. My chest trembled. I thought about Ethan and said, You don't get to ruin me. The words surprised me. I stood still. I'm allowed to change, I whispered. I imagine tomorrow. Show up, I told myself. Just show up. I remembered Mrs. Carter's voice. Motion matters. I nodded. Okay. I grabbed a notebook and said, One step. I wrote nothing, then laughed softly. That's fine. I looked around and said, This place feels empty, but I'm still here. I sat on the couch and closed my eyes. I'm scared, I admitted. But I'm moving. The fear didn't leave, but it shifted. I felt it loosen slightly. This is rock bottom, I said. And I survived today. I lay back and whispered, Tomorrow counts. I promised myself quietly and without witnesses that even lost and broken, I would keep choosing myself, one uncertain breath at a time until hope felt possible again somehow. I told myself, I'm not chasing him. The words felt new and sharp. Daniel called me into his office and said, Sit down. I did. I'm giving you a choice, he continued. A project no one wants. I asked, Why me? He replied, Because you're still here. I laughed nervously. I don't feel capable. He said, You don't have to feel ready. I hesitated. What if I fail? He answered, Then you learn. I nodded. Okay, I said, surprised by my own voice. Walking back to my desk, I whispered, You chose something. My hand shook as I opened the file. This is too much, I muttered. Then I argued with myself. You asked for purpose. I finished one task and said, That's something. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. Daniel passed by and said, Good start. I replied, Don't get used to it. He smiled. I am. I felt seen in a way that didn't hurt. That night, I sat across from a therapist and said, I'm afraid people leave. She asked, Who left first? I swallowed. Everyone I trusted. She said, And you survived. I whispered, Barely. She replied, Barely still counts. I stared at the floor. I hate needing people. She said, Needing isn't weakness. I frowned. It feels like it. She answered, Only when it's unreturned. Something clicked. I nodded slowly. Lena texted, Can we talk? I stared at the message. Not today. I typed, then paused. I need space, I sent instead. She replied, Did I do something? I whispered yes, but typed, I need time. Putting the phone down felt heavy and right. I told myself, boundaries aren't cruelty. The room stayed quiet, but it didn't crush me. A work doubt followed me. You're pretending, I said under my breath. I fixed a mistake and whispered, "You caught that." Daniel leaned over and said, "Progress looks good." I answered, "I'm trying." He replied, "That's enough for now." I believed him for a second. That second mattered. On the bus home, I thought about Ethan and said, "I won't ask why." My chest tightened then eased. Closure isn't a conversation, I told myself. At home, I looked around and said, "I'm still standing." I wasn't strong. I was tired, scared, and unsure. But I was awake. I opened my notebook and wrote, "I choose myself." The words didn't fix anything, but they didn't lie. I touched the page and whispered, "This is the beginning." The power didn't arrive loudly. It settled quietly, steady and real, as I kept breathing and moving forward anyway. Healing wasn't clean or inspiring. It was ugly and slow. I sat at my desk and whispered, "I thought I was past this," when my hands started shaking again. Noah looked over and asked, "You okay?" I shrugged. "Depends on the hour." He nodded. "Fair." We worked in silence for a while before I said, "Some days I feel strong." He replied, "And the other days?" I answered, "They feel louder." He didn't rush me. "You don't have to fix that," he said. "Just notice it." Later, I messed up a report and muttered, "Great, I'm regressing." Noah leaned back and said, "Or you're human." I laughed weakly. "That's not comforting." He smiled. "It's honest." I appreciated that. He never tried to rescue me. He just listened. "I don't want pity," I told him once. "Good," he said. "I don't do pity." That made me breathe easier. On my break, I almost opened Ethan's page. My thumb hovered and I said, "Don't." Noah glanced over. "Something tempting?" I sighed. "Something stupid." He said, "Then don't punish yourself." I locked my phone and whispered, "I'm choosing peace." The words felt fragile but real. I sat with the urge instead of running from it. It passed. That night I told my therapist, "I still feel lonely." She replied, "Lonely doesn't mean broken." I frowned. "It feels like failure." She asked, "Whose voice is that?" I swallowed. "His." She nodded. "Then let it go." I closed my eyes and said, "I don't need love that hurts." Saying it out loud made it stick. The next day Noah asked, "Coffee?" I hesitated. "As friends," I clarified. He smiled. "Always." We talked about nothing important. "Quiet is nice," I said. He agreed. "Safe too." That word lingered. Safe. Love should feel like this, I realized. Calm. Respectful. Not like waiting for someone to choose me. Later alone I cried for no clear reason. This is healing, I told myself. It's messy. I didn't judge it. I let it exist. I cleaned my apartment and found old photos. I said, "Thank you for the lesson," and put them away. Not burned. Not hidden. Just finished. At work, Daniel said, "You look steadier." I replied, "I feel slower." He smiled. "That's not bad." I believed him. I walked home and noticed my breathing. "I'm here," I said. No rushing. No escaping. That night, I deleted the bookmark to Ethan's page. My hand trembled. "Goodbye," I whispered, not angrily, just clearly. I sat on my bed and said, "Healing isn't pretty, but it's mine." For the first time, that felt like enough. "Know what?" He hesitated. "Things aren't going well for him." I stayed quiet. Marcus continued. "The job fell apart." "Funding issues?" I asked. "And Ava?" He scoffed. "She left. Said she didn't sign up for struggle." I closed my eyes. "That's unfortunate," I said, surprised I meant it. Marcus added, "He's not taking it well." I answered, "That's not my problem." After the call, I sat still and said, "I thought this would feel better." It didn't. It felt heavy. Noah noticed and asked, "Bad news?" I replied, "Old news catching up." He nodded. "Does it change anything?" I thought for a moment. "No," I said. "It just confirms things." He didn't push. "Then you're doing okay," he said. I appreciated that. Later my phone buzzed. Ethan's name filled the screen. "Hey," his message read. "I messed up." I stared at it. "I never stopped thinking about you," another followed. I whispered, That's too late. My fingers hovered. Say something. A part of me begged. Another voice said, you already did. I locked my phone and set it face down. My heart raced then slowed. That night I told my therapist. He reached out. She asked, and? I said, I didn't answer. She smiled. How does that feel? I searched for the word. Quiet, I said. Final. She nodded. That's closure. I frowned. It doesn't feel like winning. She replied. It's not a competition. That made sense. The next day Marcus texted again. He's spiraling. I replied. Please don't update me. He sent back, fair. I put my phone away and said, I'm choosing distance. Saying it out loud made it real. At lunch Noah said, you seem lighter. I shrugged. I stopped carrying something. He smiled. Good. I asked, do you believe in karma? He considered it. I believe choices catch up. I nodded. That's what this feels like. Not revenge. Not justice. Just balance. Another message came that evening. Can we talk? Ethan wrote. I need to explain. I whispered. You already did. I deleted the thread without replying. My hands shook but my chest stayed calm. I don't need answers anymore. I told myself. I stood by the window and said, I don't hate you. Admitting that felt important. But I don't owe you access to me. The city hummed below. Life kept moving. Mrs. Carter passed me in the hall and asked, you look peaceful. I smiled faintly. Something ended. She nodded. Endings don't always shout. I answered, no they don't. That night I reflected and said, karma didn't knock. It just arrived quiet and unstoppable. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. I simply accepted it. Ethan lost what he chased. I found what I needed. Revenge never came and I didn't miss it. I turned off my phone and whispered, I'm done watching. The silence that followed felt earned. The knock on my door startled me. Who is it? I asked. Ethan's voice came through shaky. It's me. Can we talk? I hesitated then opened the door. He looked smaller somehow, shoulders slumped, eyes pleading. Hi, he said. I nodded. Hi. He swallowed. I messed up. I remained silent. I thought love would wait, he admitted. I kept my voice steady. It didn't. He flinched. I didn't realize. You did, I said softly. I thought we had time. Looking down. Leaned against the doorframe. We had. His eyes filled with tears. I was wrong, he said. I see that now. Please. I'm sorry. I nodded once. I hear you. Do you, can we? His voice faltered. I shook my head gently. No. Not that version of me. He exhaled sharply. So you don't forgive me? I said. I don't think that's the point anymore. He looked confused. I thought apology mattered. I smiled faintly. It matters to you. To me it shows who you are. But I've changed. I've outgrown the version of me who would have stayed. I understand, he whispered, barely audible. I thought you'd wait, he repeated. I shook my head. I did wait. And I learned something. Waiting for someone who won't stay doesn't teach love. It teaches pain. He nodded, looking down. So, I can't. No, I interrupted gently. This isn't about you. It's about me. I've grown past that person. He ran a hand through his hair. I wish I could go back, he said. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My heart didn't ache anymore. I realized I could watch him without anger. I could hear him without breaking. I finally felt that quiet power that comes when someone else's choices no longer control you. I hope you're happy, he said. I nodded. I will be. I already am. He looked at me, and I saw the weight of regret settle on his shoulders. Goodbye, he whispered. I stepped aside. Goodbye, I said firmly. The door closed behind him and I breathed in slowly. I'm still here, I told myself. I walked to the window and watched the street. My hands were steady, my chest calm. I didn't feel empty and I didn't feel bitter. I had what mattered, dignity. I whispered, I am stronger than I knew. I turned away, feeling the shift fully. For the first time in a long time I was free. I sat on my couch and whispered. Closure isn't his words. The room stayed quiet. I thought about Ethan and said, I don't need that to move on. My phone buzzed with Lena's name. I stared at it and muttered, Not yet. She called anyway. Hey, you okay? I answered, I'm getting there. She paused. I feel like I lost you for a while. I took a deep breath. You didn't lose me. I just had to find myself first. She said, Does that mean we're okay? I nodded. We can be. But I need boundaries. She sighed. I get it. I continued. I need space when things are messy. I can't be your crutch, Lena. Not anymore. She laughed softly. I don't want you to be. I just missed you. I smiled faintly. I know. And I missed you too, but differently now. Later, I walked to Mrs. Carter's door. You're moving today? I asked. She nodded. Yes. New town, new rhythm. I said, Thank you. She raised an eyebrow. For what? For teaching me that pain doesn't define me. That waiting isn't always weakness. That I can survive my own storms. She smiled. And you did. I hugged her briefly. Goodbye, I said. She patted my back. Goodbye, dear. Keep choosing you. Back in my apartment, I stood by the window. I am choosing me, I whispered. I thought about the past months, the heartbreak, betrayal, and silence. I am learning, I said aloud. I noticed my hands weren't shaking anymore. I felt steadier. I told myself, love doesn't mean surrender. It means respect, first for yourself. At work, I replied to a message from Daniel. Thanks for trusting me with the project. I typed. I realized I trusted myself too. I can do this, I whispered. I made a plan for the evening and told Lena. Dinner? No talk about him. She agreed. I felt calm saying it. That night I journaled. I forgive myself for needing love. I forgive myself for trusting. I am allowed to set boundaries. I paused. Closure isn't an apology. It's understanding my worth. I closed the notebook. Before bed I called Noah. Hey, I said. Want to walk tomorrow? He agreed. Sure. I hung up and smiled faintly. Connections matter. But not at the cost of me. I lay down and whispered. I am whole enough. I am enough. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight lift. My heart was quiet, not empty. I breathed slowly. I survived, I chose myself, and that's enough. I leaned back in my chair and whispered. I actually did it. Daniel walked by and said, Looks like progress. I smiled faintly. More than that, I replied. I finished it. He nodded. You've changed. I laughed softly. Maybe I have. Later, Noah appeared at my desk. Lunch? He asked. I hesitated, then said, Sure. But only for the food. He grinned. I'll take that as a compliment. We walked quietly at the park. You seem lighter, he said. I shrugged. I stopped needing everyone else to decide my worth. He looked at me. That's impressive. I smiled faintly. It's taken time. Pain teaches you lessons whether you like it or not. He nodded. I get that, I said. And I've learned to honor my past without letting it control me. He was silent for a moment. You're stronger than you think, he said. I whispered. Stronger than I was yesterday. Back at work, Daniel called. Your report inspired the team. I replied. I just did what I had to. He chuckled. Humble too. I smiled. Progress isn't just about results. At my desk, I stared at my reflection in the monitor. I don't need validation to feel whole, I whispered. The words felt strange and freeing at the same time. That evening, I opened my journal. I honor my mistakes, I wrote. I honor the heartbreak, the betrayals, the loneliness. They shaped me, but they don't define me. I paused and smiled. I choose me always. My phone buzzed. Noah's name appeared again. Walk tomorrow? I typed. Yes. I hesitated, then added. And we keep it simple. I hung up and stood by the window looking out at the city lights. I'm proud of myself, I whispered. Proud that I survived. Proud that I'm building a life that isn't dependent on anyone else. I felt my chest fill with something warm, steady. I've become the woman I needed, I said softly. The next morning, I dressed carefully but without effort. Confidence doesn't mean perfection, I muttered. Noah arrived smiling. Ready? I nodded. Ready. We walked side by side, quiet but connected. I realized I didn't need approval, compliments, or even reassurance to feel complete. I am enough, I told myself. At the office later, Daniel passed and said, "You're inspiring everyone." I replied, "I just inspire myself." He laughed. I smiled. I checked my phone but didn't look for old notifications or old messages. The past is mine to respect, not relive, I whispered. That night I journaled one last time before bed. I am capable. I am worthy. I am whole. I closed the notebook and lay back. The woman I needed? She was inside me all along. I breathed slowly, peaceful and awake. And I'm not letting her go. I stood by the window and whispered, I survived. The city lights blinked back at me, steady and indifferent. My phone buzzed, but I didn't check it. I'm done chasing what isn't mine, I said softly. Noah's text was there. Coffee tomorrow? I smiled faintly and typed, yes. Simple. I set the phone down. Connections matter, I muttered. But they don't define me. I thought about Ethan for a moment. You didn't break me, I said aloud. You taught me who I was capable of being. My chest felt lighter. I remembered all the nights I cried, the anger, the silence. Every tear taught me resilience, I whispered. I traced the edge of the window. Love isn't always a person. Sometimes it's a lesson, and I survived it. I turned away from the glass and walked to the couch. Lena's message popped up. Are we okay? I typed slowly, we are. But I'm choosing myself first. I leaned back and closed my eyes. I won't let the past dictate my peace, I murmured. I'm done waiting for love to rescue me. At work, Daniel passed by and said, You're glowing. I smiled. I'm just present, I replied. He nodded. That counts. I realized it did. I didn't need applause, validation, or approval. My strength was mine alone. That evening I cooked dinner and hummed softly. This is normal, I said. This is enough. I didn't need anyone to complete me. I sipped my tea and reflected on Noah's presence, quiet and kind. I can enjoy people without relying on them, I whispered. That thought felt new and freeing. I checked my reflection in the mirror. You're whole, I told myself. I smiled genuinely without past shadows lurking behind it. You can love again someday, I admitted. But it won't define you. It won't dictate your worth. As night fell, I opened my journal one last time. Heartbreak rebuilt me. I wrote, I am stronger. I am free. I am enough. I closed it and breathed deeply. I don't wait for love to find me. I find myself first. I stood at the window again, looking at the quiet streets. I am awake. I am present. I am alive. My chest rose steadily. I am free. I turned, feeling the weight of the past lift. The world can wait. I won't. Peace filled me, solid and steady. This is my life, I whispered finally, fully, with no apologies.